And I think I've reached credits. There they are. Wow, I beat the game tonight. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. I seriously can't believe it. All right. All right. I actually wrote down quite a bit for this game. Quite a bit. Not as much as Black Sigil, but enough. But enough. So, I'll get straight up into it. The first thing I want to say is for my thoughts videos now and into the future, I just got rid of the dislike section. I just decided to merge that with everything else. So, yeah. But first order of business, my overall thoughts. I like this game. No surprise, of course, because I'm playing it for the second time. First time playing it on the Xbox 360, and now, you know, I buy it for the PS4 with what I'm gonna say is probably not that much new content, but then again, I didn't experience all the content, so there's probably a lot of stuff that I missed. But basically all that's new, from my recollection and my perspective, is Patty and her quest to find out who she is. For the most part, Flynn wasn't really that much of a new character. He's kind of tacked on rare occasions. But yeah, this game is actually super nice. It is still one of the best Tales of games that I've played. And you know, I haven't played all of them. I would say I played a decent chunk. And this one still holds up 10 years later. It's a pretty nice Tales game overall. Something that stood out the most was just Yuri as a protagonist. And this is going to be kind of interesting to say because Yuri's attitude is so refreshing. He's not like all these other protagonists out there that, you know, they have a really upbeat attitude or a very defeatist attitude. And especially in a Tales of game where it has a lot of anime tropes and things like that, your protagonist is usually going to be someone who is not going to be doing either evil acts, or they're going to be knocked down a lot but are always looking up to the future. And Yuri's not really like that. He's not afraid to do what's necessary in his eyes to get the job done or to protect people. And that goes as far as killing people who he deems evil, despite people around him not approving of it. And he is not afraid to shoulder the burden and the consequences of those actions because he knows that he is making the right choice. And so that's really cool. He killed two significant villains in this game all by himself. And that's just a really nice thing. Oh yeah, there's like a theme that he's actually evil and does what the knights can't do, basically. And I really like that they kind of played on that, you know, sure, he's a good guy, he's looking out for the world, but they touch on how he's doing so many evil things and how dangerously close he goes to actually being an evil person himself. And I appreciate that theme a lot. Yuri is such a breath of fresh air as far as characters and protagonists go. So for the story, was it satisfying? I thought it was satisfying, actually. It did kind of catch me by surprise that Alexei wasn't going to be the end. And then it also caught me by surprise that the Autophagos wasn't actually a boss. Typically in JRPGs, when you're setting up a super enemy, generally that super enemy is always going to be the last boss. Dragon Quest does it, Final Fantasy does it. You know, just they all do it. So it was kind of interesting that it wasn't down here. As a matter of fact, Tales of Vesperia, I think, does it too. Does it feel complete? It actually does feel complete, with some caveats, which I'll get to a little bit later. How was the pacing? I think the pacing in this game is actually kind of... It's okay, I guess. I mean, things really do move forward most of the time, but there are some issues in this game where things move forward and then you gotta go do something stupid to accommodate for it. Such as towards the end there, hey, we gotta go save the world. Let's go stop Duke at Targaron, or yeah, Targaron or whatever it's called. Oh, but wait, Flynn is in danger over at this one place. Let us threaten the entire security of the world to go find Flynn, go save him, and hope that everything turns out okay. Just JRPG things, of course. And for some of the writing things, this game actually does have some really tired old tropes. And one of the things that really started to nag at me was you meet someone who has the capabilities to give you progression in the story or explain things that need to be explained, and you reach them and then you don't get the answers from them. That kind of stuff really bothers me when that happens. It just really annoying. And a perfect example of that is there's a part where we're trying to meet Pharaoh, but you know, we have this letter that we need to deliver to Nordopolica. We need to go to Nordopolica anyways. So we stop by and we're like, let's go ahead and meet Bellius. You know, since we're here, we got to deliver the letter, and we need to, you know, just chill. So we might as well meet Bellius while we're here, get some information on what's going on. Then we find out we can't meet Bellius until a specific day of the month, like a full moon or something like that. So instead, we're like, okay, you know, let's just go find Pharaoh then, because, you know, that's what we want to talk to Bellius about anyways. So we go searching for Pharaoh, and we end up getting to the point where it's like, well, guys, we can't meet Pharaoh right now. So let's just go back to Nordopolica and meet Bellius again. So we go back to Nordopolica, we meet Bellius, and right before we get some answers, someone bursts through the door, interrupts our meeting. We end up killing Bellius on accident, and we don't get any answers. This game does that a lot, and it bugs the crap out of me. And I just really wish it wasn't a thing. Another part is when a character escapes, that character will typically walk right past all of my party members with no resistance from us, and all we do is yell back at him. This is just another one of those little anime tropes that happens, but it's also something that kind of bugs me, and I wish it wasn't a thing. Let's see. Judith and Raven know crucial information that could propel Yuri and friends to a greater understanding, but keep it to themselves. And when they eventually betray us, we forgive them for stupid reasons. That's pretty self-explanatory. They know a lot of knowledge, and I mean, it's understandable that they don't trust us, and it's understandable that Raven, like, their reasons for betraying us, for doing what they're doing, is fine. Our reasons for accepting them back are not fine. It's a little too goody two shoes for me. Whenever a decision needs to be made on where to go or what to do next, Yuri and crew make one decision, and then they consult Rita, and then they consult Estelle on what they will do, as if they weren't going to find some reason to tag along. This is probably just a character thing, but it's kind of obnoxious especially for the first like 30 hours of the game, where, you know, it's all about Estelle needing to go back to the capital, and everybody wanted to take her back to the capital. We have to constantly ask her what she wants to do. And every single time it's, I'm going to travel with you guys. It gets so redundant, and it's just really obnoxious. I complained about it a lot. Um, Raven should be dead. Raven should be dead. Where were the hunting blades when the knights started using monsters to fight with them? This was something that I added a little bit later on. But I thought about this on the off chance, and I was just like, wait a second. You know, that's kind of weird. Only time hunting blades show up is when they want to screw with us. They don't screw with anybody else. And we certainly don't hear about any of that when it happens to someone else, if it did happen to someone else. So that was kind of obnoxious as well. We basically only ran into them when they wanted to ruin things for us. So that was ugh. For characters, seeing Flynn's descent from being the honor-bound knight that will follow any orders to slowly start seeing Yuri's point of view was really nice. It's a shame that most of it happened off screen. I really did like that Flynn started off as basically a lawful good paladin, but he really did care about his friend, and like I guess he wanted to rehabilitate him or something like that. But throughout the game, he really did see Yuri's actions and then see his inability to affect the same change or perform the same change that Yuri's actions did. And so he kind of reconciled all of that. And I really did like that kind of character growth from Flynn. Rita is probably too smart. This is not really a negative or a positive, or well, not really a negative, but I think Rita does a few things in this game that probably should take a little bit more thought, and maybe like a think tank or something like that. She just kind of thinks of these things off the cuff, like figuring out how to create mana, for example, or the Vesperia 1 as a weapon against the Autophagos. These things, they just come to her as a solution, and I don't know, put a little bit more thought, a little bit more research into it, I guess. Who is Duke? We didn't really get much about Duke. Yeah, he fought in the war 10 years ago on the human side, and he had a friend that was an Entelekea. But for the guy that ended up being the final boss, we didn't really hear enough about Duke. Is his name even Duke? You know? Why does he have Dane Nomos? You know? Like I know the answer on like he took Dane Nomos, but like, did he have Dane Nomos during the war? You know, like how did nobody know that he had Dane Nomos? You know, like it's interesting questions about his character that never really got resolved. Why was Chroma traveling with Alexei? She had to know what he was planning at some point. This one kind of bugs me as well, because if Chroma was an Entelekea this entire time, she would have had to known that Alexei was planning to access that. It starts with a Z. I don't remember the name exactly, but she had to know that he was going to be accessing that particular point. So why didn't she stop him sooner? I don't know. She was in contact with Duke, so something wasn't clicking there. Might be a plot hole. Let's see. How does Alexei know all that he does and what to do with the knowledge? This one kind of bugged me too, because we didn't get answers to this, and Alexei just kind of dies without any explanation. Such as like using the Child of the Full Moon, knowing about Apatheia or how to use Apatheia, or the Entelekea. Where did he get all of this knowledge from? Did he participate in the Great War 10 years ago? Did he stumble upon Apathea? Like, we need a little bit more backstory on this guy. This guy sets the events for all that's going on in this game, and he's supposedly this great mastermind, and we don't learn how he gets this information that's so crucial to the plot. Pharaoh seemed too accommodating despite all the horrible things that was happening around him. I think Pharaoh's first appearance, he was very aggressive. And like, I understand that he made a deal with Judith, but when it comes to the point where Estelle gets Bellius killed, I feel like Pharaoh would intervene at that point. Or maybe when Alexei forces Estelle to use her power, he would have intervened at that point. But for some reason, Pharaoh honors his deal with Judith and by extension, the rest of the party. And at least to me, that doesn't seem very Pharaoh-like. For a guy who attacks Dawngrest and calls Estelle an insipid poison and, you know, tries to murder her, I just don't see that in his character. But, you know, we don't get to talk to him that much, so whatever. Let's see. Patty spends the entire game wondering if she's Ifried's daughter, only to learn she's actually Ifried. I did not like this. Did not like this at all. Patty's 5 years old, and she's talking about how she is the captain of a ship many years ago and all this other stuff. There needs to be more. Maybe there's some side quests that I missed, and maybe she like stopped aging because of the Maristella or something like that. I don't know, but whatever it is, I need something. You can't just do that, you know. So that's it for that. Let's see. Gameplay mechanics and design. What gameplay elements stand out? Let me turn down the volume here just a little bit. Let's see. The skits are incredibly enjoyable. I really like the skits in this game. One of the best parts, and this is gonna sound not great, but one of the best parts that I like about these skits is their voice acting. And so something that was really missing from Tales of Symphonia skits was hearing the characters kind of poke fun at the other characters and seeing them get mad and all this other stuff. That stuff really comes through when there's voice acting, and so that made me enjoy these skits that much more. Learning skills from weapons still feels fresh, especially in the Tales of franchise. Skills are really nice in this game. There are skills like Deluge that alter an art, but it doesn't just stop there. It'll let you learn that art if you use it enough times. And that's just a really cool mechanic, and it works really well in this game. So I really appreciate that mechanic. There's a wonky experience system. I tinkered with this early on, maybe like 15 hours in or something like that, and I meant to go back to it to see just how it worked, but it was kind of all over the place, and I'm not really sure how it's supposed to work. I'm guessing it's killing blow related, but I can't say for certain. Lots of overcosted skills. I started complaining about this towards maybe like the last quarter of the game or so. There are just some skills that aren't really worth the points. Some of them are like 16 and 7 and things like that. Like, you need to spend 7 skill points on a character in order for that character to use an item on any party member instead of themselves for 7 points, you know? That should not be that expensive. Or like Rapide's magic lens skills. A lot of those are just too expensive. Like, those should be 1. those are not that powerful. You know, Magic Lens costs 10 gold. Come on. Let's see. Lack of comprehensive strategy option. This particular one I think comes in like later games. But I really wish this game had something like, you know, protect the casters or protect the healer or protect the back line or something like that. I understand there's some like formations and you can like keep formation and things like that, but I don't necessarily think that that is a proper workaround for it. Let's see. Character leaves the party to rejoin seconds later. This was really, really obnoxious. And I just never want to see that again. Please. The grade system is cool. A system that feels like a rating of how well you did, but actually is a point system that allows you to purchase stuff for New Game Plus. Grade is something that I think the Tales of franchise really did invent, in the sense of like, you spend the entire game accruing these points, and you can never use them for anything during the game, but then you find out after you beat the game that you can use them to get various bonuses and things like that for the game. And I'm a really, really big fan of that. So I'll just like show off some of that stuff. So I earned 1400 grade, and I can spend all of that grade to get a variety of things. And it's just all really, really cool. You know, I dig it a lot. So yeah. I apparently can't go back, which is really, really silly. Let me see what else. For the combat portion of everything, not the best combat in the franchise, but still fun. I kind of hold true to this one. The combat's really not anything special. There are definitely better iterations of the combat, but this is one of the earlier-ish titles for the Tales of franchise. And so, you know, they were just learning the systems and whatnot. So I get it. I get it. But, you know, stuff like lots of ending lag on attacks and movement, very one-dimensional in very many ways. The lack of meaningful combo systems make the downtime between attacks an awkward place to be in. The animation canceling is not present unless you're linking arts or have Rita spellcasting skills. Just stuff like that. There could be some more smoother transitions in it, such as what happens in a lot of the later Tales games. But, you know, I understand this one's, you know, a little bit earlier on, so I get it. They're iterating. I'm not holding it against the game. The over limit's usefulness can be frustratingly poor. This was a significant issue for me throughout the game, where overlimit was kind of being touted as this very powerful tool, and it was a very powerful tool, but I rarely got to use it in ways that I felt it was intended to be used, because as soon as I went into overlimit, I would get stun locked or knocked down or bodied, basically, and I'd never get to use mystic arts as often as I would want to, or, you know, I get knocked halfway across the stage because I'm getting destroyed, you know, in overlimit where I'm supposed to be at my most powerful. So a lot of that was truly obnoxious. And I have to mention that one time where I went into overlimit and I went to cast my mystic art, and somehow the boss that I was fighting took my mystic art away from me when he was not in overlimit and mystic arted me and the rest of my people. That was some bull crap. 100%. Let's see. Ally AI is very odd. Lots of standing around doing nothing when they are healthy and have TP. I don't really have much to elaborate on that one, but the AI just kind of does some weird things. Sometimes they run into melee range when that should be something that you should never be doing. It seems like I managed to get that fixed towards the end half of the game, but overall it's just really, really annoying. Estelle casting nurse when everyone but one person is healthy is irritating. I complained about this a lot, and I will continue to play and complain about this because, you know, when nurse costs like 40, 48 TP or something like that, it's kind of annoying that if there are two people that have like 500 damage on them, it's just more efficient. It's just better to cast first aid on the first person, first aid on the second person. I get that you're going to heal both people at the same time with nurse, but it's not like you're spending, I don't know, like 3 times, 4 times the TP, you know, just to save an extra 5 seconds. I don't know. AI needs a little bit of tweaking. Secret missions and boss fights are cool. They are super cool. I wish for some of the ones that didn't have an obvious mechanic to tinker with, I wish there was a better way to understand what the secret mission was, but it doesn't bother me at all. I think that just the concept is really, really cool, and it really brings a fresh perspective to the boss fight because it gives you another objective of the boss fight besides just killing them. The grade system, despite not mattering too much, is a lot more punishing than I remember. Lots of negative grade in fights. Yeah, I got a lot of negative grade at the very beginning of this game, and that kind of sucked. But again, it doesn't really matter for the playthrough that you're playing it in, so that in of itself is kind of cool. Fatal Strike is a cool idea, but flawed in implementation. For me, at least me personally, I think that Fatal Strike, the way I see it implemented currently, is it's a way to kill enemies when they're low HP immediately. And my preferred implementation is to kill enemies at whatever HP as soon as you trigger it. And that does not seem to be something that is a possibility in this game. And I guess I wish it was just the way that I suggested, mostly because what's the point of dealing that 3,000 or that 8,000 damage to them immediately, right then and there, when, you know, you could just hit them 2 more times or whatever. Like, I get there's extra bonuses and things like that, but I guess all that buildup doesn't always pay off, I guess is what I'm gonna say. Fatal Strike is also tricky to pull off. Sometimes it flashes on the screen and you just can't do it. Sometimes you're stuck in animation lag and you just can't do it, you know? It's very inconsistent to use because of those examples that I gave. And then I already mentioned this, its function of killing enemies seems backwards because they're almost always very low health when you get to activate it. Seems like you need to wait until after an art animation finishes before you can activate it. This means it's more beneficial to have allies activate it, but they aren't reliable. Rapide started doing some Fatal Strikes towards the end there, and I don't know if that was him. I don't know if me pressing the R button triggers it for him when I can do it. I have no idea, but Rapide is my dog. Okay, dungeons. I don't have any favorite, annoying, or can recall any dungeons that are inflated by backtracking and things like that. For the most part, the dungeons were relatively short and didn't overstay their welcome, which was very nice. There were some practical dungeon design issues, like the sewers of Dawngrest, or this the city, for example, that we were at, Tarkaron at the end. There's some issues there, but whatever. Cardinal sins. These things where You know, you never want to see them in games because they almost always, if not always, no, they always do just detract from your enjoyment of the game, or at least my enjoyment of the game. Backup party members don't earn full experience? Question mark. Because I don't think that they do, but sometimes they did, and I don't know. There's also an EXP share thingy skill that costs 1, which is appropriately costed. But things are weird. So I don't understand the experience system of this game yet because I didn't tinker with it enough because I forgot. So I'm just going to cardinal sin that one. Removing key party members without sufficient replacement. This happened a lot. A crap ton. And it was particularly egregious with Estelle. This game only has one healer, and that's Estelle. There's a couple other people who can heal, but they're really bad at it, like Carol, for example, or Raven, or Patty. They're not a dedicated healer, and so when this game removed Estelle, that was probably the hardest part of the game for me because I had to use items. I needed Patty to get lucky and go into a form that she can cast heals in. You know, it was just obnoxious. But they removed a lot of party members like Estelle, Judith, Carol, Raven. They just went in and out. And it kind of sucks if you like using those characters because Yuri's really the only character in this game that is consistently in the party at all times. Rita and Carol are probably the next two. Repeat is also in the party at all times. Well, not all times, but he's in the party at all times where you need to use him. He never leaves the party like all the other characters do. Almost done. Miscellaneous. For the sound, music. I never really got to hear the music all too much. My speakers are kind of in the back of my desk, and so I can hear the music every now and then. But for the most part, I would say that the music is pretty good. And that's all I can really say about that. I like the title screen music. Voice acting. The main story is fully voice acted. This is a thing that's that was changed for the definitive edition, and I'm always an advocate of, if you're gonna put voice acting in your game, bare minimum, you need to have the main story voice acted. It's that or nothing. I'm so glad that they added those extra voice lines to the game, because not only does it help us kind of understand the characters and I don't know, like get to know them and things like that, but it's also really top-notch voice acting too. It's really, really good. You know, you can actually hear the expressions, the emotions coming from these characters. And I'm always just a fan of voice acting. I hope voice acting is a thing to stay for games in the future. But on the same side of the coin, there are 2 voice actors for Yuri, and this is a negative. This is a flat out dislike. There is no good coming from that other than we get to have some voice acting. And so, like, on one hand I could say, well, that should be a net positive, but on the other hand, it's, what are the reasons why you can't have the same voice actor? Well, maybe the original voice actor was too busy. Maybe he is too expensive. Maybe he didn't want to do it. I know that they had the original voice actor mentioned that he wasn't contacted to do it, which leads me to believe that either A, they didn't want him back, or B, he was too expensive, or C, maybe they contacted like his agent if he has one or something like that. I don't know. But for whatever reason, they could not go with the original voice actor for reasons unknown. So all in all, I'm going to say I'm glad the voice acting is there, but I wish that it's going to sound kind of disrespectful to the original voice actor, but I kind of wish they just re-recorded all his lines so there was just one voice actor basically. But that's expensive for no reason. And you know, the second voice actor did a pretty good job. You could tell it was different, but you could also tell that he actually tried to sound like the original voice actor as much as possible. Lip syncing is extremely poor. In most cutscenes, character lips do not move while characters are talking. This could be because it's lip synced to Japanese voiceover, and I guess they either didn't have time or they just didn't want to swap it over to English. But that just kind of, I don't want to use the term ruins my immersion or the phrase, but it just kind of makes me take a step back, I guess, and just be like, why isn't that character's lips moving? Let me see. Volume for skits are really low sometimes. Enough said. I really wish there was a little bit more consistency. Also in the little anime cutscenes and things like that, those are also consistently low on volume. For the graphics, HD visuals look extremely good and way better than anything I can remember from nostalgia. This game looks really, really good. Really, really good. And it's nice. It's just nice. For replay value, I wrote this at 25 hours into the game, but 25 hours into the game, I don't see any new story content in the definitive edition, so a New Game Plus is probably not that worthwhile. I don't know what's in New Game Plus, if there's any new content there, but I think if you play this game once, you could probably do away with saying you're done. You know. And to tack onto that, Patty's storyline is very simple and too far spread apart to I was kind of wrestling with the idea of, you know, like, is this game worth buying solely for the fact of trying to experience the new content? And for me, the new content was Patty, and at least I thought Flynn was going to be like this character that was going to join your party as much as Patty would, but that wasn't really the case. So really you just have kind of like this tangential character that adds quips, which are really nice quips, by the way, throughout the game, and has her own little story that just happens every now and then, but it's a very small portion of the game. So paying $50 for this edition, having already been invested in Tales of Vesperia just for Patty, is not really worth it. So and you know, that's a replay kind of value thing, you know, if you've already played the original, that is. Under the other section, there all the cutscenes are skippable. Thumbs up to you guys, developers, for that. I think, me personally, I think that all cutscenes should have the option of being skippable. Not necessarily for reasons of just, you know, skipping them because you don't want to see them, but skipping them because you've already seen them. Maybe multiple times because you've died on this boss or something like that. It's one of those things where I feel like it should be mandatory, or just an industry standard. And for the very last section, finally at the end, if the developer is watching, I am super grateful that there is an HD remaster of Tales of Vesperia. I was looking for just a port of the PS3 version, or just the Xbox 360 version. I just wanted to play it again, and I didn't want to have to play it on my Xbox 360. I am so grateful that you guys took the time and delivered this game to us. It took 10 years, but to me it was worth the wait. You know, it caught me by surprise. I thought it would never happen, and look, out of the blue, Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition announced, coming out, and it's as good as the original, and it adds new content, and so it's just better than the original, and it looks better than the original, and it plays better than the original. It's just nice. And I think it's 60 FPS too. I'm not very good with FPS, but I think it's 60 FPS. And so it's just such an improvement that I'm so happy that it happened. Not only because I got to play the game again, but because maybe, just maybe, some of the other developers out there might be interested in porting over some of their older games. I would love for Legend of Dragoon to get an HD remake. I would love for a Legend of Dragoon 2. You know, I would love for a few other games that I just can't think of off the top of my head to get new visuals and just port it over to newer systems with higher FPS, maybe a few new improvements, you know, some bug fixes, yada yada, this and that. This gives me faith that even after 10 years of a game coming out, you can still have a chance of playing that game again, but it being improved in some way. And this Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition is really the first game that actually is giving me that hope that it's possible. So I hope that more developers take after Namco Bandai and any of the other developers that worked on this game. Mad props. Mad props. But that is going to do it for me for today. It is 8:13. I'm very happy that I beat this game today because I might actually have my weekend back. Probably not. I might actually stream anyways, but very, very happy that you know, I conquered this game in a relatively decent time, I might add. Something like 50 something hours or something like that. I'll have to double check, but what's next for me is Kingdom Hearts 3. That is coming out next Tuesday. Reviews are already out today. It has like a 88 last time I checked on OpenCritic. And I mean, even if it had like a 20, I was still gonna play it. I played all the Kingdom Hearts games. Well, I played 1.5 to 2.5 and 2.7. All the games on that, and watched all the movies. So that's the next game for me. Tomorrow's Friday. I might bust out the Super Smash Brothers for Friday and Monday. We'll see. But I want to say thanks for watching. Appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow, 6 o'clock p.m. PST, with something, most likely Smash Bros. Peace.